paper about democracy and majoritarian control, and I have one question about it. You said that in a second stage of a democracy, it's very important to have this control over the majorities. And we have seen, we are living now in Latin America under this great nationalistic wave. How do you think this wave is related to majoritarian control?
Well, I think it's related to majoritarian control, but I think it's also related to a lack of understanding by a lot of citizens as to how their countries can be improved. For example, we have a group, I'm sure you've seen it in the United States, the Occupy Wall Street group, that basically does not subscribe to the goal of improving economic growth, because it's called economic, because it's related to Wall Street, because it involves money. But economic growth is more than just money. It's more than just materialism. This Occupy Wall Street group is anti-materialistic in some regard. That's fine. I'm not a materialist. I'm only a teacher. How can I be a materialist? I'd like to try it, but I don't have the opportunity yet. At any rate, the economic growth is not about materialism. Countries that have greater economic growth and that are richer have longer life expectancies, have lower infant mortality rates, have generally better health. Now those are humanitarian goals, but they're related to economic growth. I mean, you can be as humanitarian as you want, but if you live in a poor country, you're going to have a lower life expectancy, higher infant mortality, higher ill health in many other regards. So economic growth is most importantly humanitarian. So fighting economic growth is, I think, anti-humanitarian. But it is. I don't think everyone knows that, and one has to understand that in order to see why groups like Occupy Wall Street, first, they're not going to be effective, but because they don't even know what they're complaining about. They don't have any ideas. But secondly, they're not. I do not think that even groups like that, or politicians that rally majorities in favor of anti-capitalist policies such as Chavez in Venezuela or Morales in Bolivia, they're not going to stop the course of economic growth or the course of the development of better conditions for all citizens.
So I have one last question. Almost every important university in Peru, and I think also in the US, has a left-wing ideology. Why do you think that almost every university and every academic or research group tends to be left-wing in ideology?
It's a very good question, and I don't know the exact answer to it. One reason is that specialists in the humanities, even specialists in science, don't understand how the economy works. And so they don't understand these points about economic growth and the extent to which economic growth reduces poverty, even though that it's how can you not think economic growth reduces poverty? At any rate, they don't really fully understand it. Secondly, there is a kind of elitist feature of many universities in which faculty members who were the smartest students, those that end up as faculty members were the smartest students in middle school, smartest students in high school, the smartest students in the university, and they end up with relatively low-paying jobs in universities in comparison to students who they might have had no respect for, or students who dropped out of school who went into business and became very successful. Take Bill Gates or Steve Jobs as examples. You know, they didn't get formal educations. The people that went on to get to finish their undergraduate degree, went on to get PhDs, might have looked at those guys as dropouts, which they were dropouts, but they became the richest people in the world and the most productive in the world. And there's a kind of resentment that comes from that when you're a good student and you see other people that are not as good students being both financially more successful and productively more successful than you. That may have something to do with it too.
So,
But I think it's really the lack of understanding of economics.
how accurate would it be to say that universities produce a lot of left-wing ideas in order to understand the fact that market rejects academic, in terms of financial retribution, academic work?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think that's accurate. One other feature of academics is that to become a successful academic, you have to be pretty smart. And if you think you're really smart, you think you know the answers to all the problems. So why shouldn't you be in charge? Why shouldn't you be able to use your ideas instead of letting the market operate? What is the market? Is that as good as my idea? No. How can it be if I'm so smart? And as a consequence, because academics believe they're smart, they are smart. But because they believe they're smart and believe that they are smarter than others, oftentimes they think a person that is smarter than someone else ought to make decisions for other people. That makes them socialists. And makes them endorse governments. They'd like to have the government choose their policies, but they certainly want smarter people in charge rather than let the market operate. And that's probably an effect too.
Great, thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
very
great.
much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it very much.
So we'll